You're not waiting for a sign. You're not waiting for the right time. You're waiting for someone to come in and make it easier. Someone to hand you the answer. Someone to finally see how much you've been carrying and just fix it. Nobody is coming. Nobody. And the terrifying thing isn't that. The terrifying thing is that somewhere beneath the waiting, you already knew. I used to have a ritual. I don't think I even recognized it as one at the time. Every Sunday night, I'd open a new Notes app page and write a schedule, a perfect schedule. 6 a.m. wake up, 1 hour of reading, an hour at the gym, meal prep, deep work, the whole architecture of a better man drawn out in clean little boxes. Monday morning, I'd snooze the alarm. By Wednesday, the note was buried. By Friday, I was telling myself I'd start fresh next week. I told myself I was bad at discipline, that I lacked willpower, that some people just had the gene for this, and I didn't. But that wasn't the lie. The lie was that I thought planning was the same as beginning, that writing down what I wanted from my life counted as moving toward it. That one day, maybe when things settled down, when the pressure eased, when someone or something gave me the momentum I didn't have, things would shift. That's not a productivity problem, that's a waiting problem. And most men walking around right now are deep in it. Not lazy, not broken, waiting. Here's what waiting actually looks like, because it rarely announces itself as waiting. It looks like spending 40 minutes reading about workout programs instead of doing 20 push-ups right now. It looks like having 6 unread books on your nightstand, because finishing one would mean you'd have to start applying what you learned. It looks like sitting in your car after work, engine off, not going inside, because going inside means being present, and being present means confronting who you actually are when no one's watching. It looks like texting back. Yeah, I've been meaning to, for the 3rd year in a row. It looks like opening Instagram when you meant to open your notes. It looks like waiting for a mentor to find you, for a woman to finally understand you, for a job to make you feel like your life has meaning, for your father to say something he probably never will. The waiting takes 1,000 shapes, but underneath all of them is the same quiet belief that somewhere out there is a version of your life that requires less from you than this one does. And nobody will ever come to hand it to you. What nobody tells you about this kind of waiting is that it doesn't feel passive. It feels strategic. It feels like preparation. You're not doing nothing. You're getting ready. You're researching. You're gathering. You're almost there. This is the most seductive lie the mind tells, because effort spent preparing feels almost identical to effort spent doing. Your nervous system doesn't care about the difference. You still feel busy. You still feel like you're moving. But you're not moving. You're circling. And here's the thing about circling. You can do it for years. You can build an entire life out of the loop. And from the inside, every lap feels like progress. There's a name for what makes this so hard to break. Psychologists call it the readiness trap. The idea that we tell ourselves we're not ready as a way of protecting ourselves from the reality of what happens if we try and fail. If you never start, you never fail. And if you never fail, you can keep the story intact, that you are a person who could have done great things, if only the conditions had been right. That story is worth more to your ego than almost any achievement, because achievements can be lost. Potential can't. So we protect the potential. We nurse it. We build whole identities around being capable, but not yet. And the years go by. I remember talking to a man once, mid-40s, smart, genuinely talented, who had been working on a business idea for 11 years. Not building it, working on the idea of it. He had spreadsheets, notebooks, a folder on his desktop he'd never shown anyone. He wasn't lazy, he was terrified. Terrified that if he put it into the world and it failed, the last version of himself that believed he was capable of something extraordinary would die. I saw myself in him. I think a lot of men do if they're honest. There's an old idea in navigation, before GPS, before satellites, called dead reckoning. A ship's captain, out on open water with no landmarks in sight, would use dead reckoning to figure out where he was. He'd start from his last known position and calculate forward. How fast was I going in what direction? For how long? He didn't wait for a lighthouse. He didn't wait for land to appear on the horizon. He worked with what he had from where he stood, and he moved. Was he always exactly right? No. Was there risk constantly? But he was steering, he was making decisions, he was moving through water instead of sitting in harbor, waiting for perfect conditions that never came. Dead reckoning, that's the internal work most men have never been taught. Because we were taught to look for fixed points, good grades, then college, then a job, then stability. Someone else plotted the coordinates, someone else said, follow this, and you'll arrive somewhere worth being. And then somewhere in your 20s or 30s, you looked up and realized the map ran out. There are no more predefined coordinates. The course nobody planned for you starts here. And the men who can dead reckon, who can take a hard, honest look at where they are right now with no illusions, no excuses, and no lighthouse in sight, those men start moving. And the men who can't, they wait. They keep scanning the horizon, they keep refreshing the coast. Dead reckoning requires three things the waiting life actively avoids. It requires knowing your actual current position. Not the position you wish you were in, not the position you tell people you're in at dinner parties. The actual one. What does your body feel like after a year of this? What do your relationships actually look like? When you sit alone in the dark without the distractions, what thought rises first? That's your current position. It requires trusting your own velocity, not someone else's timeline, not Instagram's version of what 35 is supposed to look like. Your pace, your momentum, however small it is today. One decision, one action, one degree of course correction. That's velocity enough to begin. And it requires commitment to a direction, even an imperfect one, because a ship that is moving can be steered. A ship sitting still in harbor waiting for the perfect heading goes nowhere. This is what nobody who's waiting ever fully grasps. Movement itself creates clarity. You don't get the clear path first and then move. You move and the path reveals itself under your feet. The men who change their lives, not the ones in YouTube thumbnails, not the curated success stories, the real ones, the ones I've watched up close. They didn't have perfect plans. They didn't wait until they felt ready. They started from a position of incomplete information and honest self-assessment, and they reckoned forward. Day by day, decision by decision, correction by correction. Dead reckoning. Here's what I want you to sit with. The version of you that is still waiting for the right moment, the right person, the right break. That version of you is not protecting you. It is consuming you. Every year inside the waiting is a year your body gets harder to change. A year your relationships drift further from who you want to be in them. A year that passes without the evidence, the lived embodied evidence that you're a man capable of building something. And that evidence matters, not for anyone else, for you, for the quiet interior place that decides each morning whether you're worth believing in. Here's what I've come to understand. Nobody is coming. Not a mentor, not a partner, not a podcast, not a better version of this video, not some future version of you who somehow absorbed enough inspiration to finally take the wheel. Nobody is coming, and that's not a tragedy. That's the beginning. Because the moment you stop waiting for someone to arrive, the moment you stop scanning the horizon and look down at the water beneath you, you realize something has shifted. The waiting was always a choice, which means the moving is too. You don't need to have it figured out. You don't need to feel ready. You don't need the plan to be perfect or the fear to be gone. You just need to pick the smallest, most honest next move and make it. Then make the one after that. Then the one after that. Not because you've become disciplined. Not because someone finally believed in you enough, but because you decided quietly, without announcement, without applause, that your life belongs to you. And that the reckoning starts now. Nobody is coming to save you. That's not a wound to carry. That's a door. The man who spends his life waiting for rescue stays exactly where he stands. The man who steps through that door, imperfect, uncertain, without a map, he becomes the thing he was waiting to be handed. You were never waiting for conditions. You were waiting for permission. You have it now. If something in this landed, if some part of you recognized a version of yourself in the waiting, in the circling, in the Sunday night schedules that never made it to Monday, I'd like to hear from you. Drop it in the comments. Not what you plan to do, what you're going to do today. One move, the smallest one, something real. Because that comment is itself a form of dead reckoning, a way of saying, I know where I am and I'm choosing to move. For those who want to go deeper, to sit with these ideas in a space where the conversation doesn't stop at the end of a video, we've built something. Not a course, not a product, a room. A place where men who are done waiting gather to think, to be honest, and to reckon forward together. The link is in the description. Come in when you're ready, or better yet, come in before you are